What you're seeing right now isn't just a festival. It's known as Jonkonnu, one of Jamaica's most powerful cultural treasures. The music, the masks, the movement, all of it tells a story that began centuries ago during the time of slavery. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, first of all, my name is Amy and I'm so glad you stopped by. So go ahead and join the family by subscribing so you don't miss out on more amazing stories that celebrate culture, history, and the people who make them come alive. And for all my returning viewers, big love and appreciation to you. You already know we explore the world's most fascinating traditions right here. And today we are going deep into one that refused to die, Jamaica's Jonkonnu festival. So let's get into it.
Hey! Eh? Dance, let me see. Alright. A Jonkonnu, no sir?
So let's talk about it. So first of all, Jonkonnu is one of Jamaica's oldest cultural celebration, born during the 1700s amongst enslaved Africans. And during Christmas time, the slaves were given a short break. And in that brief freedom, they celebrated life the only way they knew how to, through dance, drumming, and colorful disguises. But here's what makes it special. Jonkonnu or jonkanoo, I don't know if I'm pronouncing well, wasn't just a party. It was symbolic resistance. It was how enslaved Africans preserved their traditions, honored their ancestors, and even mocked the slave masters, all under the disguise of performance. And those masks and costumes you see, they carried deep meaning, freedom, rebellion, spirit, and pride. And each character represented something powerful. And even though it was risky, they still did it. And that is what makes Jonkonnu more than just culture. It's survival in motion.
I keep seeing comments on here, people asking what a jonkanoo is. I don't know jonkanoo to be any specific old mask character in Jamaica. I know it to be the entire festival that takes place sort of around Christmas time. And my understanding is that jonkanoo celebrated a specific West African warrior who stood up against enslavement. And then the Europeans gave him an English name, which was Jonkonnu. And then we started calling it Jonkonnu. Not a specific character, but within the festival of Jonkonnu, you'd have the different characters like Pitchy Patchy, Belly Woman, you have Cowhead, you have the Devil. I think you get the point. Overall, it's not a very kind thing to say.
Yeah, bro, big up to the organizers of this event, because I'm sure I'm not the only person on God green earth and never hit Jonkonnu in them life. My parents tell about it, my grandparents tell about it, we see it in a book and story and them something there, but I've never experienced it ourselves. And I just want to tell you, big up on yourself, because they brought it to us the other day in Papine, you know, and I'm very grateful that I got to experience it at least once in my life, and I really love that Jamaica culture, you know.
Now, let's talk about these incredible characters. If you've ever watched Jonkonnu live, you know it's full of drama, energy, and storytelling. And there is Pitchy Patchy covered in colorful rags, wild, unpredictable, symbolizing freedom from control. And then the horsehead, representing strength and power. Then we have the Devil, a mischievous one who teases the crowd. And of course, King and Queen, standing tall and royal, representing pride and resilience even in the face of oppression. And again, each one moves to the sound of goatskin drums, cowbells, and whistles, and that unmistakable rhythm that can only come from Jamaica. And it's beautiful to realize that every dance step, every costume, and every beat carries the echo of Africa right there in the heart of the Caribbean. Now, after slavery ended, Jonkonnu went through changes. Some parts of it faded away, but in places like St. Mary, Trelawny, and Kingston, the spirit stayed alive, especially around Christmas. And even when colonial leaders tried to ban it, saying it was too wild or too African, Jamaicans refused to let it go. They protected it, they performed it, and that's why today Jonkonnu still lives on, not just as a festival, but as a reminder of who Jamaicans are and where they come from.
Hi everyone, I am Raul Blaze, and on today's edition of Culture Corner, we talk about Jonkonnu. What is Jonkonnu? Where did it come from? What was its significance and what led to its decline? Of course, we can't know where we go unless we know where we are coming from. Jonkonnu, as pronounced in the Jamaican dialect, with a variety of pronunciations and names in territories and other colonies, is a Christmas and New Year's celebration with origins in West Africa, but was later developed in Jamaica in the 1700s, and it would later spread to other colonies such as the Bahamas, Belize, and the Carolinas. Now, Jonkonnu was a name given by Europeans to a fierce and strategic warrior of the Ahanta people in modern-day Ghana. No matter what they did between 1708 and 1724, they just could not defeat this man. Now, when this exciting news reached our ancestors over here, so them would use the only time them free between Christmas and New Year's to put on costume, both inspired by their West African heritage and by the dirty stinking Bakra master them, and jump in the streets and celebrate and laugh with joy. And this was also a way to kind of protest. Now, even though it was named after an Ahata leader in modern day Ghana, the spiritual and the costume part took its significance from the Yoruba, Ga and Igbo people and their Yam festival traditions. Now, most of the characters eventually disappeared, but now some of the most popular ones are Belly Woman, Cow Head, Ass Head, Devil, Police, Bride. Now, what happened to Jonkonnu? Well, the same thing that happened to most of our West African culture. 1760, one of the most important years in Jamaican history that most of us don't have any idea about. So in 1760, Taki and him army beat up the Britain bad, and one of our ancestors betrayed us by telling the Britain that Taki used Obia, so the 1760 Obia laws were passed. Now, in their writings, they stated that the Obia Act had nothing to do with Obia per se. It was an attack on the lifestyle of the African, especially the right to assembly. So in a sense, by the Christmas of 1760, something our ancestors had been doing for a while was now made illegal, but we found ways around it. But they didn't give up. As we approached emancipation in 1830s, they passed further laws against our assembly. But it wasn't just the law. Churches would send their clergymen and missionaries into the community to prevent our ancestors from participating in the devilish acts of African barbarism. Ugh! At one point, even the police was involved in the prosecution of Jonkonnu parades, but that's for our next video. So in conclusion, what happened to Jonkonnu? Simple. It was targeted because it provided us with a link to our West African heritage, where our strength lay, to the point where it lost its significance completely.
When I first watched Jonkonnu, I realized it's not just dance, it's heritage in motion. You can feel the history in every drum beat and see the courage in every mask. It tells the story of how Africans on Jamaican soil refused to lose themselves, even when everything was taken from them. And honestly, that is what makes Jamaican culture so extraordinary. The ability to turn pain into pride and struggle into celebration. So next time you see Jonkonnu, remember, it's not just performance art, it's a message from the ancestors passed down through generations, saying, we are still here. So guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed learning about Jamaica's Jonkonnu and want to see more stories like this, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It helps this community grow and keep us exploring more hidden cultural gems from around the world. So until next time, bye for now.